Puente on the other side of the bridge. Look, that's a bridge too, a puente in Spanish. So I got a note today from YouTube saying I reached 100 subscribers. And as mentioned before, it's always more important to me that folks watch the videos and even act on them. Sometimes I provide phone numbers for congressmen to call and complain about an issue, maybe a survey to fill out and try to get funding for your community. So I want to thank everyone that subscribed, and especially those of you who do complete the surveys and reach out to your local elected officials to tell them that whatever is happening in your community, if it's unfair and systemic racism, is not okay. So thank you everyone for helping me reach that milestone, and for taking time out of your day to watch, for submitting engaging comments, thoughtful comments, that make me think about stuff too. Thank you everyone. That said, I've had some of the folks that regularly comment say they were really interested in hearing how opening night went. Shout out to Paula and David and Gigi Gonzo and Mr. Garcia, everybody who's been engaging recently. I do appreciate your guys' comments. But I did hear that folks were interested in how opening night went, since I'd been talking about this play that has a huge justice component. So, short answer, great. It's been going wonderfully. Long answer, this is where you could probably go do something else if I get to be in a monotone or boring. But it's gone great. So this is the program, and it talks about the story, the playwrights' thank yous, who the executive director team, the lighting designer, the set designer, the costume designer, stage manager, production assistant, and then a note about copyright laws and you not having the right to film during this play. So I wish someone would have filmed so that I could share a scene with you. But I got to respect this. And, I'm their employee. I got hired by them as an actor. And so this is my employer, and I have to respect what they ask. And so I asked my family, don't record. This is the cast page. Up there in it. And then about the company, it's a picture of all the actors and their bio. So this was kind of funny. I got an email saying, hey, we need a picture, a headshot, and a bio from you for the program. And so I wrote one up like I was, I don't know, doing a resume or something. And like, oh, I grew up here, I did this. I once swam from Alcatraz. I've tried my hand at stand-up comedy. Weedy. And then before they published it, they gave it back to us for final edits along with everyone else's. And I noticed that everyone else's didn't have anything to do with their personal life. It was a resume of sorts of everywhere they've performed, the stages they've been on, thanks to the theater company, to the director. Very limited in scope. And here I was talking about, I got 2 dogs. Their names are this, their names are that. They're this kind of dog, like just way off the mark. So I edited it real quick to say this is my second time performing and a reprisal of this role. And I once did stand-up comedy. And that was it. From this long, I wear glasses. My eyesight is 40/60. And, once I dated this girl who, would buy me clothes or something. It was just way off the mark. So I corrected that, and I'm glad I did. And then it has the director and the other actors' theatrical resume, and so it's very impressive. Some of them are, you know, studied in drama and literature at Ivy League schools, and others have been acting their whole lives and been on some prestigious stages and nominated for really nice awards. And so, that said, let me go into how it's been. Before the opening night, there's a dress rehearsal in costume called Intel, and in that, the cast did get to invite folks, and the everyone involved with the production got to invite people, and then they would give feedback. And then there's also like a focus group of theater critics there that give feedback on how to tweak it. I think that's how it kind of goes, right? And so that went really well. And I had a friend I invited who was actually the person that suggested I audition for this role the first time I played Bert. And it was kind of weird that he asked me because I'd never indicated an interest in theater. I had never gone to a play in my life. I still haven't. I've been in it one, but I haven't been to one. And he said, "Hey, go check this out." And at the time, I was in a bad place because, some very influential people in government went to some other influential people in government. And, I was, I think, punished unfairly. And so I didn't want to do that, that work anymore, which was community work, right? Engaging with communities, helping them understand how government works so that they can navigate it and make it work for them. And so I went and auditioned, and I got this role. And it was a really wonderful experience. It was volunteer, it was community theater. It was like a full-time job for good 2 months of rehearsals, 32 hours a week. Just that's what you're giving to art. And it really impressed me that the rest of the cast was just giving so much of their time for the sake of art. And some of them did tell me that part of the reason why they did it is because they would get to work with the lead, who is, a big shot in theater community, right? It's like an honor to get to work with her. And so I found that out later after I was already in the play, but it was, I recognized my fortune in working with someone that other people like wish they could work with. And so that one went really well, such that I was asked to, reprise the role in this short workshop production. That one sold out before it opened. This one sold out before it opened. There was a difference in that the first time the tickets were considerably less, and it seemed like a lot more raza was there who did have some sort of connection to Dorotea Puente, because her community that she navigated was either government or, the barrio. She was, she lived in downtown Sacramento, the Alkali Flat area, which is known as Centro, and that was the heart of the Mexican community in the 80s, the west side of Sacramento. So it would be like, Del Paso Heights is mixed, and then Gardenland, and then Northgate, and then downtown, and then Southside Park, and then Seaway Circle. The west side of Sacramento has historically been where the people of color were always at, and then the east side of Sacramento was the wealthy side of town. And now that's changed, where the west side is heavily gentrified now, and the south side is where all the people of color are, at. I digress. So part of her community was the barrio, and thus in the first run there was a lot more raza in the audience, I noticed. This time the tickets were, with after fees, they were pretty much $50, And so I noticed that this time around it was a lot more just really well dressed, elegant white folks in the audience for the most part. You know, there are exceptions, but it's been a fairly elegant crowd. Um, and a lot of them, I believe, are like patrons of the theater. That they support the theater. That their name was probably on a wall in the theater. A lot of them are actors in other plays that the theater is having, and so the the audience is familiar with theater, which in some ways I appreciate because I get a more experienced eye looking at me, and if I get feedback, I think it carries the weight of an education in theater and some knowledge of it. Um, if people love it that on that level, it's equally rewarding. As far as honing my ability, an experienced eye is feedback that I would prefer. As far as just making people happy, everyone I hope came away happy. So the first night, opening night, me and one of the other cast usually go outside and smoke a cigarette after the play is over. And I started smoking for the play. It was something that I always enjoyed after it was done. So I bought these ultralight natural spirits, and I'll smoke one after the thing. And then when I'm done, I'm gonna give the pack to the people that do smoke in the cast because I can't bring them home. My little one to get on me. Um, so I'm sitting out there smoking, and people are walking out, and there's just this buzz of excitement. And the people that happen to see us will come over and say, "Hey, you guys did great. It's been amazing. Thank yous back and forth for attending, and thank you for your performance." And it's been like that pretty much every single night. Um, but some of the comments that do rise is when my friend who was there the first night for the Intel run did go to um, a historically black college on the East Coast where he uh, took drama and theater and then performed on stages in Boston and New York. And so he's familiar with the theater. After he saw the Intel run, he told me, you are in an incredibly blessed situation. It's a very classy situation that you're in, and hopefully you build on it. So there's some appreciation there of the theater it's held at. Other casts have said, I've been performing for a long time, and this is the first time I've ever been asked to be here. And so I do feel really fortunate about that. So I also delayed on making this video because I was hoping a review could come out and I could share that with you guys. But it may not get reviewed given that it's already sold out. Usually when I see reviews, they're part of um, an effort to encourage people to either watch a show or not watch a show. They'll have a Shakespeare-looking guy either looking sad, kind of paying attention, happy, or excited, and popcorn's flying everywhere. And, you can kind of figure out which one you want to go see and which one you don't. So I don't know. If it does come out, I'll do a follow-up and share what was said about it. Yesterday, I think I might have gotten the compliment that arguably I've liked the most. So this guy tells me, he says, "Hey, I'm a therapist, and I've worked with schizophrenics for over 20 years now. And the way you moved and carried yourself, you is exactly how they do it." And I told him, "Thank you. When I did this, I was really wary of making a mockery of the mentally ill. I didn't want to exaggerate stuff." And he said, "No, you did it perfectly. That is exactly what I would expect someone who's schizophrenic to behave." And I've been around schizophrenic folks for long periods of time. And one of the people who I think of when I portray, this schizophrenic person was like just a total sweetheart, a gentle, um, just seemed like an incredibly gentle person, almost childlike. But they were a grown man, and um, they ended the life of their relative with an axe. So it was the most kind and gentle axe murderer you could ever imagine. And when you think about it, you think the axe murderer was. This is not the play. This is someone I actually knew. Um, like you just don't see that because the rest of the time they were just this gentle person in their own world, and sometimes they would go like this when they were hearing voices, like to try to tap them out, and so I would do that, and I remember sometimes they would rock because they were on medication or their hand would move when they were talking, and so I remembered all these things and was able to like bring them to life, and almost universally the praise for that portrayal has been really effusive and generous. I've not received any bad feedback, and I'm not against getting bad feedback. I think those are the things that actually help you grow. But it's been intrinsically, it's filled my cup with self-esteem. It's made me confident that I can do things um, even if I haven't trained for them my whole life, even if that wasn't something I set out to do. A highlight of opening night was that my baby was performing as well in her chosen art form at her school, and she risked getting in trouble to call me. So that she says, she takes, she goes, "Don't say nothing. I'm gonna call you, and then you can listen." And I thought that was incredibly sweet because she is my harshest critic. And when she was performing, she wanted me to be there with her, even if it was over the phone. And so she called so I could hear it through the phone. That was heartwarming, and we were very, even though we trash talk all the time, that day it was nothing but love and encouragement. And and then another part from that day was a conversation with one of the cast who says, and I thought of like last time when they see themselves as warriors, and they come from this long line of warriors, and I am this warrior because I come from this long line of them. One of the cast had the same view, but with actors. He says, it's pretty amazing that we come from this long line of people who have been acting probably since the caveman days through Shakespeare, and he names different, just a very historical understanding of it. And he goes, and now we're in this line, and there will be people behind us that will carry this on. And like I said, I was asked to do this, and I was, arguably really good at it, but I never looked at it with that level of depth that, I come from a long line of it. Even if it's not a bloodline, you are contributing to what is the theater, to the arts, and I liked hearing that because it made me appreciate the art community even more, and how they take themselves, you know. So that was opening night. Yesterday was the second and third show because we had one at 2 and one at 7. The one at 7, I had, you know, my family there, my in-laws there, and a homeboy from like third grade. And it's funny because he told my wife that he hadn't seen a play since the fifth grade with me. And so I've been saying that I've never been to a play before, and I haven't actually, because it wasn't a play. We were in it. In the fifth grade, we did this skit for a talent show, where I don't know if we walked somebody on, like they were our dogs. He had a dog and I had a dog, and I was surprised the school even let it happen. We started trash talking each other about my dog is tougher than your dog, and like we set up a dog fight, and then in all this trash talking each other, we ended up fighting, and the dogs became friends and walked off. And that was like the skit we came up with in the fifth grade. And then you know, we grew up and went on to do you know, hood shit. Me on the very fringes, you know, them more with it. And um, and so I was glad that you know, he was there because he hadn't seen a play since the fifth grade, and I've never seen one, so he's ahead of me now. I've only been in them. I haven't seen them, and I will go see them from the ones that the cast. A lot of the cast are directors as well, and so I'll go watch plays that they direct or either perform in, just to support. You know, it's been great. And so that's how it's gone. You know, I'm thank you guys who asked for an update on how it's gone. That's how it's gone. I Yesterday when I came out, you know, a lot of folks came up to me and were like, "Man, you nailed it." Um, there was this one like probably the most elegant lady there. She was like, "Man, you were amazing," and just I get a lot of praise for it, and it's, again, I play a schizophrenic who would probably be homeless, um, and I like that I'm not playing um, something because I'm glad that I got an opportunity to play someone um, that that isn't my life. You know, I won't. I think I do suffer from mental illness, but not schizophrenia. And I've had a traumatic life, so you know, I can empathize with feeling alone and outcast and marginalized and alienated, um, you know, depressed. But I did dream once that I was schizophrenic. And the dream was like I would be talking to you, and then I would just be tumbling through like space or something, and I can't control what I'm seeing, and now I can't engage with you because these spells of fantasy and hallucinations would hit me. So I dreamt it once, but you know, I don't think I'm schizophrenic, and so I've never been diagnosed schizophrenic. I don't experience the symptoms, but it I was grateful to for the opportunity to play someone um, that isn't my experience. And so afterwards, you know, during the course of this play, I did go find Bert's grave. and saw that he didn't have a flower holder, so the cemetery is going to put a flower holder there. And I'll remember him. I'll remember him, and I'll tell his story as part of the narrative of the justice stories I tell. Today is the last two shows. There's one at 2, one at 7. It's been incredibly rewarding, incredibly fun. I've loved the experience. I go back to my regular job next week, and it's that's how it's gone. That's how it's gone. Thank you everyone again who was interested in hearing about it. I appreciate it, and hopefully, you guys get to do stuff that you've never done before, and find that you like it and that you're good at it. Um, because that's, I think, important to like living, and go on bridges, go to new places, try new things. You'll be happy you did. That said, much love. Hope you all have a good one. If there is a review that comes out, I'll share it with you guys. Peace.